Spring, 1944. Deep behind Nazi lines in occupied France. In a dimly lit bar, German officers sneer and curse the U.S. Marine Corps. Their target? A ghost in dress blues, blowing rail lines, stealing vehicles, ambushing patrols, even freeing British POWs. And he did it all while flaunting full U.S. Marine Corps dress uniform right under their noses. That American pig, they jeer. In the corner, a tall, handsome man quietly slips out. 10 minutes later, he returns, trench coat draped over his shoulders. The Germans, now drunk, barely look up as he orders a round for the Führer. As the waitress delivers their finest scotch, the man slowly rises, peels off his trench coat, revealing a full U.S. Marine dress uniform. He draws down on the table M1911s in each hand, leveled at their faces. One officer, trembling, pisses himself. He coolly declares in perfect German, "Gentlemen, I propose a toast." With twin 45s, he grins to President Franklin Roosevelt. Shaking, they raise their glasses. Now for your final toast. To my beloved United States Marine Corps. Peter J. Ortiz's path to becoming one of the most legendary Marines of World War II didn't start in boot camp. It started in the French Foreign Legion. Born in New York City on July 5, 1913, to a wealthy French-Spanish art dealer and his Swiss-born wife, Ortiz was raised in privilege, educated in France, bound for university. But adventure called. At 19, he ran off to Algeria and enlisted in the brutal French Foreign Legion, much to his father's horror. Quickly promoted to corporal, Ortiz volunteered for combat, helping defend remote outposts against Berber raiders. Again and again, he distinguished himself, earning 2 Croix de Guerre for bravery. When offered a permanent commission in exchange for renouncing U.S. citizenship, he refused and returned to America, briefly tasting the bright lights of Hollywood as an actor. But the break didn't last. When World War II erupted, Ortiz just wanted to stack Nazis, so he rejoined the Legion in 1939. In one daring mission, as German troops advanced, he sped to an unlit French fuel depot on a motorbike, ignited the gasoline, and raced away through enemy fire. A German bullet pierced his hip and grazed his spine, leaving him paralyzed. Captured, Ortiz spent 18 brutal months in POW camps. Told he'd never walk again, he proved them wrong, clawed back his strength, and broke out in 1941. Smuggling himself aboard a ship bound for America, he reached U.S. shores on the very day Pearl Harbor was attacked. Without hesitation, he signed up to fight again. He first tried to join the army, but they dragged their feet. Impatient, Ortiz walked straight to the nearest Marine Corps recruiter and signed up. By June 1942, he was a devil dog and reported to boot camp in full French Foreign Legion uniform, medals and all. It didn't take long. Ortiz earned a direct commission as a second lieutenant and was quickly tapped for something special.
Good evening.
The Marines sent him to North Africa, where Ortiz, fluent in Arabic and French, led his own deep recon missions. One night, riding camels with a raiding party, jittery U.S. troops nearly shot him on sight, unbelieving an American officer would be behind enemy lines on a camel. During one fierce firefight, Ortiz was wounded in the hand and thigh, but took out most of a German patrol with grenades before escaping.
What am I doing here?
As he recovered, OSS recruiters came calling. In January 1944, Ortiz parachuted into the Vercors Plateau with a small team of fellow Marines, each one handpicked for OSS operations behind enemy lines. In his pack, not one, but two carefully folded Marine Corps dress uniforms, a standard service uniform, and full dress blues for special occasions. He wore them boldly on raids. In broad daylight, he'd stroll through villages in uniform, taunting the Germans, daring them to catch the crazy devil dog leading the resistance. His mission: organize the scattered French resistance and raise hell. Ortiz's legend grew fast. He personally guided 4 downed RAF airmen to the Spanish border, earning his first Navy Cross. He hijacked German vehicles using forged Gestapo papers. So many times the Germans ordered their troops to stop handing over keys. He ambushed a German troop train, blowing it sky high. As stunned survivors staggered out of the wreckage, Ortiz gunned down 15 himself. As word spread about the marauding Marine hunting Nazis across the French countryside, the Germans slapped a 400,000 franc bounty on his head. And when a fellow OSS agent was captured, Ortiz simply donned a German officer's uniform, smoked a cigar, drove a stolen staff car to Gestapo HQ, and walked out with the prisoner. Peter Ortiz was becoming a ghost the Germans couldn't catch. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a spy. Posing as a fashion designer named Jean-Pierre, Ortiz recruited locals into the French resistance, built hospitals, and gathered intelligence. One night, sipping champagne, he overheard a German captain brag about a hidden airfield. After confirming the location, Ortiz requested an air raid, but with delays, he led a direct attack, grenades in hand, running through the airfield, blowing up planes all by himself. One night in a local pub, Ortiz overheard a German captain cursing the Marine Corps, unaware the marauding Marine was just a few tables away. Ortiz quietly slipped out, donned his dress blues under a trench coat, and armed himself with 2 M1911 pistols. He returned, bought a round of drinks, then stood tall, threw back his coat, and leveled both pistols. A toast to President Franklin D. Roosevelt and to my beloved United States Marine Corps. He fired a shot into the ceiling, scattering the stunned Germans, then vanished into the night. In summer 1944, with German SS troops hunting resistance fighters, Ortiz parachuted back into France with a Marine OSS team. But disaster struck. One Marine was killed on the jump, another badly injured. Ortiz pressed on, training fighters and ambushing Germans. But the SS retaliated with mass executions and village burnings. Ortiz's team barely escaped a massacre at Montgiraud, watching the village burn. Then came Saint-Tron. As Ortiz's team approached the village, a German battalion rolled through. Spotting the Americans, German troops opened fire, cutting down civilians and resistance alike. Ortiz tried to shield the villagers, but knew they were trapped. To prevent a slaughter, he waved a white sheet, negotiated a conditional surrender with the German commander, and became a POW for the second time. Captured as paratroopers, Ortiz and his men were spared immediate execution, but the danger wasn't over. Ortiz staged multiple escape attempts while in German custody, even trying to set a car on fire and rush guards on a train. Eventually interned at Marlag und Milag Nord, Ortiz tried again, but chose to return after hearing the Germans had abandoned the camp. When British forces liberated it on April 29, 1945, Ortiz walked up to the first Sherman tank and grinned, "Mind if I tag along and bag a few more Nazis before hunting season's over?" Ortiz quickly volunteered for more missions, destined for Indochina, but Japan's surrender ended the war. He left active duty in 1946, a legend, one of the few men in history to take on an entire army and win. Post-war, Ortiz headed to Hollywood, becoming a technical advisor and actor in several films, including 13 Rue Madeleine, a spy thriller loosely based on his OSS exploits. But on screen or off, Ortiz was the real deal. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking with one of the most unbelievable Marine stories of World War II. Peter Ortiz wasn't just any old grunt. He was a one-man wrecking crew, spy, gunfighter, escape artist, and in the end, even a Hollywood star. But make no mistake, he earned every medal on that dress uniform the hard way. Now tell me, does Ortiz belong on the short list of all-time great Marines? Drop your take in the comments. And if you think more Americans should hear stories like this, hit that like button, share it, and subscribe. You'll find links below to the official sources used for this video, including Peter Ortiz's 2 Navy Cross citations and declassified OSS records. Check them out if you want to go even deeper. Because legends like Ortiz, they don't fade, they just reload. Semper Fi.